And so joining us now, we have Elżbieta Bieńkowska, former Polish Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign European Commissioner for International Market, Industry, Entrepreneurship and SMEs. Thank you so much for joining us in the studio tonight.
Hi, hello, good evening.
So as we look at each election is presented in a way to be special. According to your opinion and your expertise, why is this election so very important this time?
Yes, you are very right. Each time we hear, especially at the during European election or before European election, we hear that they are the most important. And first thing first, I need to underline that each and every elections is important. They are important. People must execute their rights to vote. So this is the first point. But the second is that although we repeat every 5 years that this election is extremely important, I think that this times is really very, very true. We are in a in the most decisive period in the 70-year history of the European Union. We had different challenges. A few years ago, we were confronted with, of course, climate, with migration, but now we have the biggest challenge of all. We have war. For the first time since 1940s in Europe. We have war in Europe. So there are few challenges that are standing in front of us where European Parliament and the members of the European Parliament, newly elected members of the European Parliament, will play a crucial role. European Parliament will have, and the construction and the situation in the European Parliament will have immediate effect and impact on how united and how strong European Union will be. So really, these elections are extremely important.
If we look at turnout throughout...
May I add a few things?
Yes.
First, European Union will have to invest massively, militarily and economically, because we have war and we have very difficult economic situation as well globally. We don't know how the future relation with the United States will look like. They are uncertain as for now. We know that China is becoming really systemic rival for us, for Europe, economic rival. So in all of the decisions that the future European Parliament, the new Commission and the President of the Commission will have to be confirmed by this Parliament. So if, as it looks like now, and also from your statistics we saw it, that the right and far right parties will gain. They will, as it looks now, they will definitely gain. There are no fixed coalition, contrary to those ones in the national parliaments. There are no fixed coalition in the European Parliament. So getting to the political compromise or political decision will be much more difficult and sometimes maybe not possible even. So these are important elections, yes.
I'd like to ask you about the far right. That is one of the key words that we hear in these elections, that everybody needs to turn up to the polls and to ensure that the far right doesn't gain momentum or come into power in some which way. And I have two questions for you concerning this. First of all, it has been said that voters in support of the far right are not older voters, but they're younger voters. So first of all, how to tempt the younger members of society to vote for more mainstream political parties when it comes to the European Union elections. Well, let's start with that.
Very difficult and very broad question. I think the only thing, and now it's definitely too late for this today before election, the only way to make young people vote for the democratic parties, because I call them democratic parties, unpopulist parties, is education. And it's always like this. It's only education and information and spreading the proper and fair information everywhere.
Well,
But
do you
now
believe
it's late
that's
for
the
that, and
do you believe that that's the job potentially of the candidates? And do you think the candidates have done a good enough job in expressing what the issues really are in their campaigns and getting the message out?
also, but of course it's a rather the question of timing. We need to educate people and try to get to especially to younger people who always want to change maybe something, and they are very tempting proposals from some far rights and right parties. But it's not task only for the campaign. This is a task for the whole five-year period term of the parliament. But definitely also the spreading of the fake news in the campaign, it is there. It is happening across Europe, in Poland as well, but across Europe we see it. We see the fake news. So the education and really showing people the truth and how the situation looks like, it is important, because as I said, we have war, and we have to redefine, and the European Parliament, the new European Parliament, will be extremely important part of those decisions. We will need to redefine completely, for example, our European defense and security policy, which is completely different than it was 5 years ago. We need to find the answers: what to do with migration, what to do with Green Deal, what to do finally or primarily with enlargement, with Ukraine and Balkans. These are the questions where the European Parliament is and will be important partner to take decisions. If those decisions are not taken, or if they are in some way weaken, the whole European Union will be weakened in this very turmoil times that we live in.
Which takes me to my next question. I would say last but not least, as we've been speculating and talking to experts over the past few days and weeks leading up to this EU parliamentary election, obviously there is a fear that the far right parties might be taking the majority and might actually have a voice in the future of Europe. How do you think, if this scenario was to play out, how is the shape of the European Union going to change, especially in terms of these most crucial issues?
I'm not so pessimistic from my perspective. I think that we will not have majority. Maybe if they could merge, so ECR with ID, maybe they could create a really big and powerful group in the European Parliament. But as it looks now, also from the predictions and from the polls, it looks that they will not have majority. The majority will be as it was before, on the side of the democratic, as I call them, parties. So the EPP, SD, Liberals, Greens. But as I said, there are no fixed coalition in the European Parliament as we know them from the national parliaments. On different issues and different topics, there are different coalitions, and that's why it is so dangerous now, and it can be difficult to find any solutions or to the extremely important questions that we are facing in Europe. How how our security and defense policy will look like, how or even if we want to make enlargement, the doors for Ukraine were open, but we need to make a next step, of course, after war. But these are extremely important subjects, and so I'm not so pessimistic. According to my feelings and knowledge, they will not have a majority, but starting from the moment of confirming the new European Commission and the president of this commission, of this new European Commission, the Parliament will need to vote not in the fixed coalitions, and this is I think the most important for now.
Right,
And
right.
this is something that we will be definitely focusing on. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for
well-
joining us, for this
Thank you.
invaluable insight and sharing your thoughts on those very issues with us. So that was Elżbieta Bieńkowska. Thank you for joining, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you.